I've published games on itch.io, mobile, and soon Steam, and I've actually put work out into the world. But here's the truth that I learned along the way. Your first game should probably fail. And I'm not actually saying that just to drag you down, I'm actually rooting for you. I'm actually saying it because the one who finished a bad game is going to be way ahead of the person just flying around the scene for 6 months. Imagine you have this huge expectation for the first thing that you put out into the world. It's your first time publishing a game, marketing a game, coding a game, making the game design. It's your first time doing all of these things, and then you're going to have your expectation up here. That's going to be so hurtful for you because your first game is not the game that you should focus on making the biggest monetary success, where you make a big Steam page. I don't even think you should make a Steam page for your first game. I personally think that your first game, it should be a small itch.io or maybe even a mobile release. That's just a small fun game that you can show to your friends and you can be proud of that you actually finished. Because finishing your first game shouldn't be some big monumental thing that you do oh, okay, in 2 years I'm going to make this big super game and it's going to be my first one. That's not how you should frame your first game as. If you know the foundations of code and you can make a few systems, that's actually when you should start making your first game. And why is that? Well, it's because you want to make small games so that you can practice actually making bigger games. You shouldn't just make small systems and then you suddenly oh boom, and then you make fucking Fortnite in 3 years time span, and then you expect that to both be good and also for you to even finish it. It's not likely that it's going to be any of those. You can imagine it's basically like doing push-ups at your home, and then you're just going to start doing a 5-hour arm workout from Tom Platz or some fucking shit, right?
It's basically an 8-hour arm workout, and it's made up of 16 mini workouts every half an hour throughout the day for 8 hours straight, killing your arm.
You're not going to even finish it, and it's not even going to be productive for you because you've never lifted a fucking dumbbell. You've just done push-ups at home, right? But still a lot of people are just out there doing the Tom Platz 5-hour fucking leg workout immediately after they have done one set of push-ups at home. They just think that they can suddenly go from making a small prototype system with a square to then making a fucking FPS game. Let me just tell you, that's completely unrealistic. Your first game, it should be a small game, and then you should scale up, and then you can also increase the quality of the game, as well as the chance for you to actually finish a game, the scope of the game, the length that you can work on the project as your project management gets better and your code quality. And this is the only way to actually learn how to make games. Well, how do you learn to paint? Well, you paint. How do you solve math problems or get better at solving math problems? Well, you solve the math problems. And how do we get better at making games? We don't watch videos on game development, tutorials. We don't make isolated systems. We don't paint one character at a time. We make paintings if we're going to learn to paint, right? So how do we learn to make a game? Well, we make games. We make small games. You can imagine when you started game development. Why did you start game development? Did you start game development to make some cool things that you can show to your friends, your family, that you can actually be proud of that you made? You can add some funny thing, some inside joke into the game that only your friends enjoy, right? You can make them download the game on the App Store. You can publish your first App Store game. You can get your friends to download the game and you can see them be addicted to the game. That's an awesome experience that I've had as a game developer before. Just see my little sister, for example, play the game randomly, unprompted. My friends, they tell me oh, I was on this cruise and I was waiting for this thing, and I just played your game all the time when I was on this cruise. It's those experiences that you actually want as a game developer. That's why you started game development. And if you're just going to make unfinished projects or just small prototype systems or whatever that you're not going to release and you can't show anyone, you're missing out on the best part of game development, and you're also not learning anything because you're not doing game development. You're doing unfinished game development. You're doing prototype development, right? What we do is that we commit to realistic games and then we finish them. We don't make prototypes, we don't make unfinished projects and then we just scrap them because the scope is too big. It's fine if you start in a game and then you don't like the idea. Of course, that's totally fine. That's a good reason to stop developing a game. But we're not going to commit to making, oh, I'm going to make Fortnite. Yeah, I'm going to make Fortnite, but you can fucking fly or some shit like that. You don't commit to these ideas. You commit to one core game loop and a game idea that you can describe in one sentence. For my first game, for example, is basically that time slows down when you move upward, and then it's just a small mobile game. Measure your progress in finishing. Now we can talk about how you're actually going to make your first game and your first games in general. So this is the system that I recommend. It's a 3-to-1 method. Basically what no one else talks about, but it's actually the best and most realistic way to finish a game. I'm not sure why this is not the standard. It's it makes so much sense. So I'm going to teach you. What I recommend is that you don't spend 4 months making some small game. Because when you're a beginner, you're going to spend a lot of time on doing like some small thing that isn't actually that complex. It's just like hard for you because you're a beginner. You can imagine like in your second game, you can probably release it like twice as quick. That's what happened to me. I spent like 4 months on my first game. My second one was like 1 month or like 2 months. And then my third one was like under 30 days. And a big problem that you also have when you're a beginner is that the project gets like too big. So it's going to be hard for you to like manage the project. Maybe you've tried before to make a game and then the project gets like unmanageable. You have like some error and then the program is like too big and complex for you at your skill level that you don't understand how to fix it, and then you just scrap it because it feels nice to like make a new project. So to avoid this, what we're going to do is that we're going to make 3 of the most essential systems in the game beforehand in like a separate project. So we're going to make, you can imagine like in my first game, for example, that would be that I make the player movement. That's going to be one of the 3 systems that I make. The second is going to be the obstacle spawning, right? So now we have the player movement, we have the obstacle spawning. That's like 2 of the most essential systems. The third most essential is probably going to be like an upgrade system. The upgrade system, the store page that I had in my game. So you can imagine, I make one project and I just make the player movement. I don't make anything else. I just make the player movement in a really usable way. Something that I can easily implement into my actual game project later. Then I open a new project. I implement none of the player movement thing. The only thing I do here is that I implement the obstacles. I complete obstacles, that's fair enough. Maybe just a few hundred lines of code. It shouldn't be that complex. And then finally I open the third one and then I make the shop system. If you know the foundations of code, you should be able to finish all of these 3 very fairly. And this is like the scope that I want you to have. Like I'll have some gameplay footage on the screen, like a very small game like this. So after you finish all of those 3 systems, you're going to create a new project. So this is going to be your fourth one. But this time this is going to be your actual game project. So this is going to be your actual first game. You name the project like the game's name, right? And then you implement all of the 3 systems into this game. You connect them. So I implement the obstacles, I implement the player movement, I just implement the scripts, and then I implement the shop system. I implement all these 3 together. I'd spend some hours like connecting them and stuff like that. Make like a menu to connect the game to the store page. And my game is like 60-70% finished already, without me having like any complexity. It's just like 3 isolated systems. And that's going to make it so much easier for me to finish a game when I'm just like already done with like 70%. The only thing I have to do is like make a menu system. I have to make some polish, like some particle effects, some sound effects. I have to like actually implement the upgrades themselves into the player movement. It should be like very simple things. It's like just working inside of the 3 scripts that you are already familiar with. It's not like you're implementing this like shop system and then it's very easy for you to clutter it into something else. You're already finished and you just made it. Very simple. I also want to mention that I have this community which is called Smart Indie, where I basically teach beginners how to release their first game. So I have a complete video course, it's multiple hours long, where you're going to get access to how you start scripting and then all the way through finishing and releasing your first game. So if you just want to be guided throughout the entire way and also have access to the awesome community inside of Smart Indie, my personal help and a few other bonuses, then you can click the first link below and you can join Smart Indie for free today. So hopefully this video helped you and hopefully, yeah, I'll also see you inside of Smart Indie. Either way, thank you so much for watching this video.